And we are live, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday evening with the HODL Report. And we're broadcasting all the way from YouTube to all those who are watching. So tonight, we have a great evening planned. And for those who are tuning in on the restream, I'm hoping that everything is coming through loud and clear and we don't have any issues whatsoever. Trying to avoid the technical issues as usual, but definitely looking forward to having a great conversation tonight on Facebook, LIBRA, the Token Taxonomy Act killer. What's up, XRP Carolina? What's up, Rain? What's happening? Good to see you on. I am going to pull up my stream over here on YouTube and make sure that we can monitor what's going on, make sure everything sounds clear, make sure everything looks clear, make sure we don't have any major delays. Right now it looks like there's really no delays going on. So what's up, guys? How's it going? For everyone that's just tuning in, looks like the top half of my body looks like I cut myself a little bit short tonight on this, and this mic looks way too tall. Got a glass here of a little bit of scotch to start the evening off the right way, or finish it off depending on what time zone you're in. What's up, all? Glad to have everybody tuning in. So we are going to have a fantastic conversation tonight. And if you saw the thumbnail, if you saw the title of today's stream, we are going to talk about, we're going to talk more about Facebook and how Facebook LIBRA is jeopardizing the Token Taxonomy Act to the point where it could be potentially be killing off the Token Taxonomy Act chances. So we're going to start by digging in a little bit more into the Facebook intrigue. Can you guys hear me okay? Hopefully everything is coming through loud and clear. So DMAC, stay tuned. Stay tuned. I've definitely got some info that we're going to discuss on this. And it's definitely causing some commotion. So we want to dig in a little bit more into Facebook intrigue, propaganda videos, an effort towards global domination. I see there's definitely some delay here. I don't know what's going on, but it looks like I had a little bit of delay. It's kind of funny seeing it on the playback. So anyhow, so yeah, we're gonna dig into the propaganda. We want to talk about global domination. We want to talk about and really look at how the government is responding. And then we want to dig in a little bit more and see exactly how Facebook LIBRA is actually impacting the Token Taxonomy Act chances of moving forward at this point. Now, if there's time at the end, I want to dig in and take a look at a new crowdsourced business model, a revolving credit account that's all based on the blockchain. So we'll see if we get there. Now, I've got good news and I've got bad news. So the question is right now, how you guys want me to start out. Do you guys prefer hearing the good news first, or do you guys prefer hearing the bad news first? So I'll leave that as an open question. So bad news, awesome. That's where I wanted to start. Let's go with the bad news first. So now, I think starting with the what's up, XRP Minute, glad to have you on. End on the good news. Clara, that's exactly what my plan was. And so that's kind of, it's funny. That's what I was going to say. So I want to start with the bad news, and that way we can end out on a high note with some positive news. So here's the thing, as we're looking right now in response again to Facebook LIBRA, the commotion on Capitol Hill, the commotion over Facebook has been ongoing for a little bit. Now, the question that we need to look at this point, Is the U.S. Congress turning anti-crypto? Were they ever pro-crypto? Are they anti-Facebook? Were they ever pro-Facebook? And is Maxine Waters and the FSC, the Financial Services Committee, turning against the Token Taxonomy Act? Now, let's first look and see what we're up against, and then we're going to dig into this negative news, into this bad news. Some of the headlines that popped up this morning. One in particular, there was an article on CCN, and I think that the title, kind of highlights it. A very expensive failure. Blockchain experts slam Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency. I just thought that really highlights everything to start out what we're going to discuss. So Facebook, as you all know, you guys know what Facebook is. You guys know what Facebook does. But what about Congress? Does Congress understand Facebook? And do they know or do they not know? Because from the last hearing that we saw over Facebook, it was quite evident that many in Congress had no idea what Facebook is, and many of them would probably struggle trying to understand what the internet is. Now, a few months ago, Congress brought Facebook in for that hearing, and this is really where all the embarrassment started. One of the biggest fallouts from the hearings is that we all got to know the Shermanator, Congressman Brad Sherman, really identifying and seeing his lack of knowledge on any subject related to the internet. It also served to highlight and really underscore the naivete or the lack of general knowledge of the internet and any really internet related subject matter in Congress. So we know then that as we try to approach anything that is going to be a little bit high-tech related, trying to bring it to these in Congress that don't understand the internet, you already know it's an uphill battle. So we all can obviously pretty much agree on the fact that Facebook has breached the privacy of most people. I think that we can agree that if you sign up for Facebook, you have to make an assumption that your privacy is already breached because it's a free service and you pretty much have given them your entire life, and they know who all your friends are, and you share all your stories right down to what you ate for breakfast. So obviously Facebook is bombarding us with ads. Obviously we know that Facebook has sold our information out to the highest bidder. But what happened recently on Capitol Hill or within Capitol Hill, and what angered the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, the most was this video supposedly showing her slurring her words. Now, I'm starting with this because this is really going to lead into our bad news, because after this video that came out purportedly, showing Nancy Pelosi slurring her words, whether true or not, they say it was a made-up video, but this really started a series of calls from government and non-government entities for Facebook to pull all propaganda videos. Now, if you guys are thinking about this the way I'm thinking about this, that there's really a major question that we have to ask. And again, this is definitely related to what we're going to talk about in a minute regarding Facebook Libra and the killing of Token Taxonomy Act. But so here's the question that I want to pose. Think about this in your mind. You post up some comments if you want to. You might want to call a plumber. So if government and Nancy Pelosi is now calling on, and other non-government entities are calling on Facebook to start pulling propaganda videos, who's going to be in charge of what is determined to be propaganda? What's real and what's propaganda? Is there a test that you're able to apply to a specific video to make that determination as to whether or not it's true or propaganda? Can that be subjective? to what is propaganda, especially if it's political in nature. Is one side over the other going to make a determination that it's propaganda and it's not factual when in fact it could be factual? Is it Facebook's role to make a determination as to whether or not something is propaganda or whether or not something is put up there for entertainment purpose? Isn't Facebook, again, a social place to joke and communicate with people that you know, share some discourse, and again, pictures of what you're doing at this moment and what you're eating, what you're drinking, etc. So propaganda, could be, really identified as many different things. Then if you drill down a little bit further, especially if we go back to the previous administration, is the government then requesting that there be a propaganda czar to oversee all videos and information that's posted to Facebook? And if that's the case, if we want to start making a determination as to whether or not this has 100% to do with Token Taxonomy Act, DMAC. So if you hang in there a minute, you're going to see why this all makes sense. Because, what we're trying to identify here is the ignorance on Capitol Hill of anything to do with things technical or internet related. So if you just want to bear with me a minute, I think you'll get the gist. So again, is the government going to go down the path of censorship? And so obviously, we definitely have some issue. We know 100% the answer with all of this stuff that's happening within Facebook, whether it was these, quote unquote propaganda videos that they refuse to take down, or if it's, Facebook's attempt at global domination through this LIBRA consortium. So we know the answer that, government definitely isn't happy. And it's also government that's going to attempt to push Facebook or attempt to push Facebook into acting or reacting the way the government thinks that they should. Now, we would really think again that the Facebook intrigue would be over, but it's just beginning, because yesterday we saw the announcement of the white paper from Facebook regarding the LIBRA consortium, and government didn't sit still, because government immediately jumped to, and we begin to see an actual meltdown within Congress, a meltdown within the Financial Services Committee. So now Facebook, who previously obviously had a lot of issue with, thank you Farshad for that, appreciate the fact that you're on and supporting. So we have a Facebook that government had issue with due to privacy violation. Then we have Facebook that government has issue with, again, for leaving videos up that government thinks should be taken down. Now government has issue with a Facebook that is putting out that's entering into this crypto space with their own Libra coin and creating a Libra consortium to really take a large chunk or attempt to compete in this global payment space. And obviously government is right now flipping over backwards because they don't know how to respond to it exactly. So when they go into this reactive, responsive mode, all of a sudden you're going to see ridiculous comments coming out of government. So one thing is for certain, we already know that Facebook has a relatively bad reputation on Capitol Hill. We just went through all the different steps. The fact that they're launching Libra was just one more jab into the side of Congress. Now, here's what's happening. Now, we obviously saw a direct response from Maxine Waters as soon as the announcement came out, and Maxine Waters really called for Zuckerberg, for Facebook to withdraw or pull back on any timeline for Libra, and really then called in Facebook. Now at this point, Maxine Waters wants to have a hearing on Capitol Hill with Zuckerberg, with Facebook over this new Libra coin. Now, the thing is that it is now transcends all parties. So it's not just the Democrats that might be upset with Facebook. It's really Republicans and Democrats that are upset with Facebook. And now they're all tripping over themselves and really, they're trying to see who could be first to try to pull Facebook in front of Congress to start yelling at them, to hopefully not embarrass themselves again with ridiculous questions. But here's the key: is that they want Zuckerberg back in Washington. So where does this go at this point? What's going to happen at this point, where we have an angered Congress, angered at Facebook. We have a Facebook that's intent on attempting to become a large player in the payment space, in the financial space, and we already have a Congress that is relatively, I don't want to say antagonistic to, but let's call it naive to or ignorant of what's happening right now in the digital asset blockchain space, to the point that Congress has been dragging their feet significantly and creating delay where delay doesn't belong. So obviously we all know that we need regulatory clarity. We need a clear direction. We need a mechanism by which companies that are developing blockchain technology will stay in the United States and not flee to these other more crypto-friendly countries. Yo, Farshad, thank you very much again for that. I really appreciate it. Politics sucks. Politics is definitely difficult. So now here's the thing. The debate is heating up. Now, there is some good news that will come out of this, but obviously you guys want to hear the bad news first. So the bad news is everything that we're talking about at this point. Now, let me take it one step further, and then we're going to drill down into exactly what's happening regarding the Token Taxonomy Act. I don't mean to hold you guys off on this. I'm just trying to set the stage, because I think it's really critical that we set the stage and really understand the dynamics and the mindset of those in Congress as to why they're going to create some difficulty where difficulty doesn't need to be placed, mainly because maybe they're not thinking clearly. Annalise, George, good morning. Rabbit Hole Research, welcome. Glad to see you here. Welcome to everyone that's popped in. Metzner, X marks the spot, and everybody else as I scroll up here. So a lot of you guys on. We've got 52 on the stream right now. If you guys can, thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want to be notified anytime we post a video or a live stream, hit the bell notifier. We got some still a ton of great things that we need to talk about in here. So let's go over this. I want to again highlight, and I thought this was really this was kind of crazy. So first and foremost, let me pull this up. I thought this was great. This was on Twitter. Let me share my screen for a second. Hang on. Let me share the screen so we can. Oh shit! I just realized I'm on the wrong. I'm on my completely wrong setup. Now I realize why things were going awry. Let me see if I can even work with this setup here. It shouldn't be a problem. Oh man, this is my recording setup and not the live stream setup. How do you like that? So anyhow, let's just make a quick transition. Let's go over here. There we go. So this was Brian Fung, and I thought there was an interesting tweet that came out earlier. I think it was yesterday. So new top lawmakers on the House Financial Services Committee are targeting Facebook's new cryptocurrency Libra. So this is exactly what we were just talking about. Chairwoman Maxine Waters says it's another example of Facebook's unchecked expansion, urges execs to testify, and calls on Facebook to stop working on the currency. Now, if they were just emphasizing and focused on what's happening with Facebook, that would be one thing. The fact that they've kind of, morphed this emphasis on what Facebook's doing to the rest of the crypto space, to me is a little bit disturbing. Because here they're so focused on this hatred and this passion about unchecked expansion of what Facebook's doing. Obviously, Facebook keeps jabbing them, but there's definitely a lot more going on here. So anyhow, what is this statement here? Oh, there we go. Here's the Shermanator. So here's what we wanted to share a little bit. I just wanted to pull out a couple statements. AJ, man, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Not Farshad who, man, I definitely appreciate that, man. I'll take Canadian any day. So, let's see here. So look at this. Now he starts out again. Now think about the Shermanator sits on the Financial Services Committee. AOC, with all of her insanity, sits on the Financial Services Committee. Maxine Waters, who now put a target on Facebook, obviously is the chair of the Financial Services Committee. But here's a guy, while they're trying to develop and roll out the Token Taxonomy Act, the Shermanator is on the other side trying to do everything possible to oppose the Token Taxonomy Act. He's trying to do everything possible to undermine the development of regulatory clarity and the push towards allowing again, more normalcy or mainstream adoption of digital assets of cryptocurrency. The Shermanator is diametrically opposed to what it's going to take to allow the blockchain technology to really flourish in the United States. Now, why do I say that? And why is this still bad news? Because this guy is now even more outspoken. This guy now has another platform to which he can stand on. So he's utilizing the underpinnings of the Libra coin, of this Libra announcement by Facebook. He's utilizing, privacy concern with Facebook to attempt and actually tarnish all of digital asset, all of cryptocurrency. So it's easy to say, hey, let's just read in between the lines, but it's pretty straightforward. So he's talking about Zuckerberg's approach to privacy is not as consistent. He sells your privacy to make money. Now he proposes to provide privacy to criminals so he can make more money. Okay, you want to try to make that statement, but why is the Shermanator talking about that he's going to provide privacy to criminals? Because in his mind, cryptocurrency, and it says right here, cryptocurrency appears to be at serious risk of being exploited for illicit finance, among other potential impacts. So this is the guy who sits on the Financial Services Committee that is a counterbalance. Counterbalance is probably a nice term, but let's say it's a counterbalance to all the positives that can be brought about through the Token Taxonomy Act for regulatory clarity. Now, he goes on and says, although existing cryptocurrencies have been used for illicit activity, so all existing cryptocurrencies have been used for illicit activity. The Treasury Department Financial Crimes Enforcement Network has been somewhat effective at using oversight of cryptocurrencies exchanges as a checkpoint to block payments to criminals. Now, yes, cryptocurrencies have been used and will probably continue to be used. Fiat currency is currently being used globally to fund terrorism and to fund all sorts of illicit activity. That's paper money, by the way. Now, these exchanges are a valuable entry point for law enforcement because cryptocurrency users generally must rely on them to exchange their digital coins for real money. All right, now, then he gets into more about Facebook and all of this. He's deeply concerned that Facebook, a company which has repeatedly failed to protect their users' privacy. Okay, that could be legit if you really want to go on there. Then he goes in again. He talks about AML, everything that's required by banks. But then he's saying here, if Mark Zuckerberg cared about helping protect the victims of terrorism, human trafficking, and illegal gun sales, he would bring a stop to this project right now. So what his claim is that by developing the LIBRA coin, that is directly going to empower criminals to fund terrorism, to fund human trafficking, and illegal gun sales. So regardless of what we think about the Libra coin, the fact that the Libra coin and the Libra consortium is backed by large names like Visa and MasterCard and others, you would think that they would all have done their due diligence in getting involved in something. So forget about whether or not the Libra coin is actually a digital asset, whether or not it's a cryptocurrency. Let's say it's just PayPal 2.0. And Mark Zuckerberg said, you know what, I want to enter the payment space. I'm partnering with all these banks or all these financial entities like Visa and even PayPal and others. But I'm creating this awesome platform that'll simplify the transaction of currency between people globally. And we're going to use fiat, we're going to use credit card, whatever it is. That's all that matters. Is that directly then empowering victims of terrorism, human trafficking, and illegal gun sales? Is that the catalyst that's going to prop all of those illicit affairs up? Or is this in the mindset of the Shermanator to where he wants to actually ignore the fact that fiat currency has been used, is being used, and will continue to be used because it's untraceable, whereas anything that is going to be functioned through a Facebook, he's already gone on to explain that Facebook has breached everybody's privacy because he's collecting everybody's data. So now all of a sudden, they're not going to collect the criminals' data, and they're going to allow criminals to go hidden and utilize this platform, hidden from view to where nobody will know who they are. So either they're breaching and infringing on your privacy, or they're not breaching and infringing on your privacy. Which one is it, Shermanator? Because you can't have it both ways. But if your attempt is to undermine and diminish the digital asset space, it's not going to work. It's definitely not going to succeed. But this is what we're up against. This is the type of duplicitous logic and thinking from the minds of some within Congress that it makes it extremely difficult to deal with and to tolerate. So that was the other quote that I had popped up earlier. So anyhow, so this again, this is the mindset. These are the issues. This is just another example among many, and if you compare exactly what's happening also in Maxine Waters' thought process and Maxine Waters' mindset, it's just kind of insane, right? So Crypto Sifu, glad you made it on. Let's get started. So the real topic for today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. So I know Crypto Sifu is a great Bitcoin maximalist, so I think that's going to be our starting point. So anyhow, sorry about just kind of jumping into a strange direction there. Jim. No, I don't see a Jim here. Wait a minute. Let's see here. All right. So just going down the list, look at some of the comments here. Didn't mean to ignore everybody. Get into a little independent discussion. Oh, Sifu is Jim. Jim. Sifu Jim. Now, Crypto Sifu, I would assume then you're Kung Fu Sifu. Correct? So, all right. So now let's dig a little bit into the bad news because we're rounding out the half hour here. Yes, awesome. What style of Kung Fu? I trained in Dragon for a while. I took a 6-month hiatus after I tore my shoulder a little bit. DMAC, Brad Sherman will be defeated. There's big money backing these pro-crypto laws. His district would gain a ton of jobs when these laws pass. Man, I would really, really hope that that's the case. DMAC, if Brad Sherman will be defeated. But you know what? That's all up to Auburn Rain. So if Auburn Rain will get his act together, then we can actually defeat the Shermanator over in California. DMAC, if you're in that district, maybe you can help out and we can unseat the Shermanator. But that guy's backed by some major credit card processing lobbyists and others. He's got a lot of big money behind him. So hopefully it'll be a possibility. So that's right, Carl. It's all because of Rain. Come on, Rain, get your act together. We got to get the Shermanator out of there. So now let's dig in a little bit here. Now here's the next issue that we're facing. So again, Maxine Waters wants to bring Mark Zuckerberg water. Oh, water. I get it now. Took me a second. Man, I'm surrounded by it everywhere. Man, I'm buried in this water. I'm drowning over here. That's so we know Maxine Waters wants to bring Mark Zuckerberg in front of the Financial Services Committee for a hearing. Wants to speak specifically about LIBRA. Not sure about Nancy Pelosi. I'm sure Nancy Pelosi is intent on bringing Zuckerberg in for promoting propaganda, because we know what a huge propaganda machine Facebook is, especially with all those fake videos of showing Nancy Pelosi slurring her words. We're so concerned about those. But here's the rub. Here's where things kind of get a little fuzzy. And this is where we're standing right now. So, Token Taxonomy Act, Warren Davidson's office, and the others that are backing it. Then we get Gottheimer on board. You have Solwell on board. You've got Ted Budd on board. You got a whole host of Republicans and Democrats, bipartisan effort on board with the Token Taxonomy Act, pushing the Token Taxonomy Act through. That first major initiative to get it through the Financial Services Committee, Maxine Waters was in favor. Maxine Waters put two primary obstacles. One was to get a major Democrat. The second was to remove the tax implication. They're working on removing tax implication in the language, allowing it to pass forward through the Financial Services Committee. And then what happens? Mark Zuckerberg launches Facebook, LIBRA, and the government goes insane. Maxine Waters calls for a hearing to bring Zuckerberg in front of Congress to talk about this LIBRA coin, while all hell breaks loose all over the world, because everybody's worried about what Facebook's going to do with this payment platform, this PayPal 2.0. They're so worried about it, and it's kind of insane that everybody's so worried about it. Let the guy do it. If people want to put their financials and use his platform to move money, who cares? Let people do it. If the government is so concerned that he's planning on having a stable coin that's backed by a basket of fiat currency, he's backing it by fiat currency. Let him do it. Who cares? It's further developing the space. It's further proving the space that even if it's a centralized, controlled, quote unquote, cryptocurrency or quote unquote digital asset, let him do it. So now, has Facebook killed the TTA? It hasn't killed the TTA yet. It's killing the TTA at this moment. And the reason why, and this is the bad news. Sorry, it took me 30 minutes to get to the bad news. Maybe I should have done it up front and then got into this other rant. But I'm trying to build the stage of what's going on in Congress and the insanity that goes on in Congress. So Maxine Waters, bring Facebook in front of Congress. Who cares? But Maxine Waters has now stated that Token Taxonomy Act won't move any further until after the hearing on LIBRA. So now, if you're going to wait until a hearing that could happen next week, it could happen next month, it could happen next year for all we know. Obviously, it has to happen before 2020 because they're trying to get him to shut it down so that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't launch the LIBRA coin. They're trying to get him to stop the LIBRA coin. But why in the world are they tying the Token Taxonomy Act in with the Facebook Libra coin when it's exactly what's needed at this moment? It makes no sense. It's absolutely irrational that Maxine Waters is going to bring a halt to the Token Taxonomy Act and won't allow the Token Taxonomy Act through until there is a hearing. And now there's a hearing, but that still doesn't mean that Congress, that the Financial Services Committee is going to push it through. So it's just irrational thinking. Let's see here. Sean J. The U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs will hold a hearing on July 16th regarding Facebook's new cryptocurrency Libra. Great. So we're going to see at the Senate level. Maxine Waters wants to have at the Financial Services Committee level. So let's see what happens. And so hopefully, if that's the case, if they're going to hold a hearing in the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, that's awesome. Maybe they'll piggyback on it. Maybe it's not going to be as crazy as it should be. But let's see. What if this is all a conspiracy to take down crypto? What if it is? I mean, colorful crypto. What if this whole Facebook and that you'd have to make an assumption that somehow government is controlling this Facebook implementation of the Libra and Calibra, the app, and all of this stuff. Is this an attempt? I don't know. I do believe the reason why they're trying to put a freeze on Facebook launching Libra at this moment is because once they do launch it, government has zero control over what's going to happen at that point. So they're gonna try to, and VetBro, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Hell yeah, that's exactly the case. It isn't possible to do. And Michael Metzer, crypto is so far beyond the reach of government at this point. It's international. India has learned it. China's learned it. India is still, believing that they actually are going to stop digital asset development in India. It's not possible, and China already understands that fact, that they can't regulate, that they can't control it. You can create clarity and regulation. Get on board with Switzerland, get on board with Thailand, get on board with Japan, but don't hold back the digital asset space, because it's only going to serve to undermine any form of clarity and any form of development within that country. And Alex, that's interesting. Same thing happening over in the UK. They're seeing a pullback in the housing market over in the UK, as we're seeing a pullback over in Australia because a recession on the back of a housing crisis over in Australia. That's really interesting. So, you know what? I forget which one I poured. I'll have to think about that for a second. I was on the phone talking to Chip, and I just poured a scotch, and I don't remember which bottle I grabbed, but it's definitely a good one. So that's the bad news. Now, it's not horrible news. We're gonna see a delay in the Token Taxonomy Act, but it's not the end of the world. Now, the thing is, at this point, is that if we see a delay in the Token Taxonomy Act, what does that mean overall for the development in this space? Because we're already slightly behind the eight ball in terms of world development. The world is kind of moving away from us very, very quickly. Now, on the positive side, in terms of what we see, a bump in the road. DMAC, you know what? Yeah, man, I really like your positivity, because I agree with you. I believe it's a bump in the road. Maybe I put up a little bit too much excitement on the fact that Libra is killing the Token Taxonomy Act. My only concern is I believe there's this window of opportunity when you start working on something, and that window starts closing. You don't have a window of opportunity forever. The thing is, to get Token Taxonomy Act, the window of opportunity to get it passed in 2019 is now. We have 6 months to see the Token Taxonomy Act pass in 2019. If it doesn't pass in 2019, it has to be rewritten and reintroduced into the 117th Congress, because it may not make it into 2020. As we go into the 2020 cycle, then what do we have? Because at that point, now we go into an election year. Is anything going to happen, in between January and election time, where you're actually going to see any kind of laws like this getting passed? Is anyone going to jump on board with it? Or is everybody going to be hyper focused on trying to get reelected? And so, to me, that is the major concern. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying that if we go into 2020, we don't still see the possibility of it getting passed. But I see that window of opportunity closing, because everyone's going to be hyper focused on elections. And I think that's definitely, a major obstacle that we want to avoid. So that's kind of where we sit right now. And it, to me, so that's the bad news. So it's not horrible news, but that's the bad news. Colorful crypto. We don't need Token Taxonomy Act. The FATF is releasing global regulation in 2 days. Global regulation are great globally, but they're not fully applicable in the United States. So U.S. law, anything that is passed through Congress becomes U.S. law as long as it gets passed by Senate and signed by the president. To me, that is my focus. To me, that's what's most important to advancement in the United States. The SEC isn't necessarily going to, make decision on FATF. FATF isn't going to help us with taxes. And so what the Token Taxonomy Act is going to do is really to edit or amend the language of the Securities Exchange Act from 1933, 1934. We went over it last time. There's a ton going on. And then on top of the Token Taxonomy Act, we have Ted Budd introducing HR 7361, working also on HR 3708, both of them focused on tax. So that's where it becomes very, very important that you have Token Taxonomy Act and you have the other. And now, extremely potent, it's possible. It's definitely possible that Token Taxonomy Act won't pass for another 5 years. It might never pass at all. It might keep dying. But the thing is that little delays. Maxine Waters had already agreed to push it through the Financial Services Committee, to put it on the floor of the House for a vote. We know that we need regulatory clarity in the United States. We know that the other speed bump, which is more of a mountain to climb, is educating many of the congressional representatives sitting in Washington and educating them on the importance and significance of the digital asset space from an investment perspective, from a building perspective, on the blockchain technology side. They have to understand it. They have to see it. And they also have to understand what their delay, the dragging of the feet, what that is actually causing to this space. So there's a lot of dynamic that's going on, a lot of concern. Now let's go back to the good news, because with all the negative news and the debate heating up, the positive is that we do have candidates, we do have representatives sitting in Washington that are huge proponents, huge backers, huge supporters of not just Token Taxonomy Act, but of digital assets, of cryptocurrency. And so right now, with all this negativity, you always try to take something negative, make it into something positive. So all of the debate that's going on right now over Facebook, over LIBRA, the one thing that it is doing 100% is bringing a spotlight of attention, whether it's from government, media, US, global, whatever. The whole world is now hyper-focused on this LIBRA digital asset, and that's a good thing. Mainstream identification to cryptocurrency, to digital asset, the identification of the opportunity to educate more and more people on what's actually happening within this space, the opportunity to help and educate more and more of the representatives within Congress as to the importance of digital asset as well. So let me take a look at some of these comments. You guys are putting up some amazing comments. I really appreciate it. This is just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And sorry if I've missed some of them as they fly by. But I happen to catch some of the good ones as they went on here. Mac 314. All I care about is the price of XRP. So you gotta like that. Those releases are just a framework, but they have to be adopted by each individual country. The FATF, that's what WildStar is referring to. It doesn't matter if the U.S. is the head of the FATF. The U.S. and still needs to fully adopt it, and it has to be. I think there's still a little bit more into it over here. So honestly, I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And that's from Crypto Sifu. Let's see. All right. Hang on. Here we go. Stuart, did you see the size of the major players lining up to run a node on Facebook? They're seriously big fish. They basically own Congress. No way they throw a wrench in Facebook's plan. And that was another point, that the backing of it is very, very significant. The fact that you have these major players that are joining the consortium, major players, just like if we go back, I made a video on the USC coin. They also have a nice consortium of banks that's coming in to start developing in the payment space. But as someone that's worried about or interested in RippleNet, in Ripple, in XRP, the fact that anyone wants to talk about the Facebook coin as being a direct threat to either the Ripple company, the RippleNet solution, or XRP is just kind of ridiculous. And in my opinion, I think the government's a little bit, out of control and a little bit overzealous with what their expectations are, and really, trying to amplify the importance of what Facebook is really all about with this offering. And again, their intent through government, through Congress, is really turning this approach from Facebook truly into global domination. So just kind of crazy. Let's see here. Let me see. What do we get over here? Dude, come on, man. Man, oh man. Steven Chip with 1589 XRP through the XRP tip bot. Man, come on. So let's see here. What did I miss? What did I miss? Andrew Nation, you missed half the show, so we'll take it from the top. Yep. We were talking about how great Congress is. So I would highly recommend supporting Congress in every way. Congress is really supportive of the Facebook LIBRA coin. That's what we were talking about in the beginning. No. So we went over that. All right, what time is it here? So that's all the good news. More good news, in my opinion. Again, using and being able to leverage some of this negativity. Like I said, Warren Davidson. If you saw one of his tweets earlier, he's definitely beginning to leverage with a specific initiative on developing in that space. This is also an opportunity for us to support congressional offices, support the team of Warren Davidson, support Warren Davidson, support Ted Budd, support Ted Budd's team, even supporting Gottheimer and his team in their initiative for helping to pass specific regulatory clarity laws through Congress. So amazing initiatives. These guys are doing an outstanding job. So let me see here. Crypto Sifu, man. Thank you very much for that. Truly appreciate it. Man, I appreciate you as well. Glad that you're on here. So D-Mac, man, I'm glad that you hung in there through and we got to the bottom of the bad news and also got in a little bit into the good news. So let's take a complete sidestep. I want to go into something in the last 8 minutes that we have. I want to go into something that I think is important, interesting. I don't know, important, but interesting. Let me, if you guys haven't seen this yet, I kind of stumbled on it and I thought it was kind of cool. So this is crowds Crowds is a crowdsourced working capital supply chain financing solution, all based on blockchain. I thought it's important because businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses, being able to balance out cash flow when you have to buy extra inventory, especially in the flow of supply chain. It's really important to have capital accessible. Now, to me, this is another step in this direction. One of the things that we've talked about on this channel is really identifying the cryptocurrency space. Man, Anthony Jackson, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Had some really good points. I would actually say the best comments. I think those are yours, right, Anthony? If we go back in, I think you had the best comments in there. So anyhow, so look at this. Keeping. Put this up. Let me minimize this. Get this out of here. Come on. You guys don't want to see it twice. We help you keep your lights on. So again, this is on-demand working capital. Again, I think it's interesting because again, and I got sidetracked looking at that, but we're starting to see a blurring of lines between digital asset and banks, where normally banks and other financial institutions would provide for some sort of revolving credit line. If you need to find working capital, you're going to the bank. Now you have crowdsourcing. We've seen that before. Now something based on blockchain. Also implementing, this was what really was interesting about it, adding a twist to it. And I was thinking about this right before, and I was thinking about how interesting it would be for a bank or any of these mechanisms where you're going for funding to start pulling together and creating a method to introduce different businesses that are that could work together and connecting them. And so here you go. So here you have a source to get working capital and a B2B marketplace all in one. It's just absolutely outstanding. Upload your catalogs, access buyers around the world. Buyers find products, raw materials, get quotes. So here you are, you're going to crowds for your working capital. You're also putting your product up there. So other people that are coming for working capital are also going to be able to, it's amazing. I think, who knows if they'll pull it off? Who knows if they'll be successful? But talk about an amazing concept of, and again, stepping beyond where the banks are. I think that's, it's very, very cool. It's just something so different and so beneficial. Again, we'll see if it succeeds, see if it works. But I love the concept. So I wanted to share that with you guys as a kind of as a parting gift. Let's call it that. So anyhow, let's see if we have any other cool comments here. Anthony Jackson, thanks for the SC. Helps out. SC. I don't know what SC is. Maybe we'll figure it out. The crypto twins need to talk to crowds. Man, the crypto twins are awesome. They've been popping up on what is it? Steven. Why do I always forget his name? Steven Crowder. He's got his show. Louder with Crowder. So the crypto twins are on his quite a bit. It's pretty cool. So, yo, Brenner, parting the waters. Parting the waters. That's right. That's the point. The ripples on the water. You see all the ripples on the water over here? The ripples behind me. So anyhow, man, I appreciate everybody coming on tonight. Louder with Crowder. There you go. Man, I love that guy. And the crypto twins go on there. The crypto twins toured. I was so upset I was out of town when they were in Miami. I would have loved to have gone to see them in Miami. Those guys, would be great. Oh, Super Chat, of course. So, man, yeah. Definitely appreciate that. That was awesome. I'll get all these acronyms down at some point. So again, man, I really appreciate everything. And you know, again, let's see, where are we? Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. with the XRP Minute. Chip, where are you? And you know what? I forgot to ask one important question. Are you down with OTC? That's it, guys. I'm out of here. Again, tune in to Chip tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. DNI before that at 9 p.m. And I'll be back at 8 a.m. on Saturday. And we all love tuning in Friday nights at 10 p.m. with Auburn Rain. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. Great. Check you guys out, and we'll see you on the next stream.